The crew claimed that Disney Cruise staff member Rebecca Coriam washed overboard after being caught in a rogue wave, but security videos captured shortly before her disappearance reveal a disturbing truth. The Disney Cruise Line was born in the megaship era of cruising, which came about in the 1990s after an initial boom in the 70s and 80s sparked by, strangely enough, a TV show, The Love Boat. Considering the popularity of Disney's theme parks, an expansion into cruises just made sense, but they entered the market in a roundabout way. The operating costs for cruise lines were wildly exorbitant, and Disney made a wise choice by starting their cruises as part of a deal with Premier Cruise Line, rather than dealing with those expenses themselves. And for a while, it was a partnership that thrived. Disney's partnership with Premier Cruise Line, which began in 1985, meant that Premier could feature Disney characters and entertainment on their ships, and could offer packages that would mix and match cruises, hotel stays, and theme park tickets. But then Premier did something surprising. In 1993, Premier ended their deal with Disney and instead introduced Looney Tunes characters on their ships, while still offering combined Disney packages that also included Universal Studios theme park tickets. That's when Disney turned around and approached the two biggest cruise lines in the world to replace Premier as their partner. For a while, Disney was in negotiations with both Royal Caribbean and Carnival Cruise Lines to start their next exclusive partnership, but when those options fell through, they had to go back to the drawing board. Is it any surprise that what they came up with was as spectacular as any of their theme parks? In 1994, Disney began drawing up plans for their own cruise ships, independent of the major cruise lines in operation. They announced their maiden voyage would take place in 1998. It was a massive undertaking, and starting a cruise line ended up being as costly as opening a theme park. But they didn't just stop at ships. Sure, big commercial cruises stop in ports all over the world, but how many own private islands for their guests to stop in? Not many, but as their first ships, the Magic and the Wonder, were being constructed, Disney bought an island in the Bahamas and renamed it Castaway Cay, intending it to be an exclusive stop for Disney Cruise passengers. Disney had an incredibly ambitious operation on the line, but you know what they say about the best laid plans. The Magic was supposed to start operations in March of 1998 and the Wonder in December of 1998, but things didn't exactly work out that way. The Magic was the first Disney cruise ship, built between 1996 and 1997 for a whopping $400 million. The massive ship is 984 feet long, has 11 decks, and can hold 2,700 passengers in 875 staterooms, with room for 950 crew. The ship was ordered at the same time as Disney's second ship, the Wonder. The Wonder had the same specs as the Magic, and after a few delays, the Disney Cruise Lines were finally ready to set sail in the summer of 1998. When the Magic was unveiled, it had a feature that went against all previous maritime safety regulations. The ship's exterior is white and black with red accents, and the lifeboats were yellow, following a color palette inspired by Mickey Mouse. Well, thanks to international maritime rules, lifeboats are typically a standard safety orange, and Disney had to acquire a special waiver for their Mickey-themed lifeboats. Disney's Imagineers truly went all out when it came to designing the facilities and entertainment aboard the ship, from a restaurant decked out with fiber optic touches to recreate the animation process, to a Captain Hook-themed pirate's deck, to a zone for teens modeled after a 50s diner. And when Disney first launched their cruise line, they offered vacation packages that combined 3 or 4 days at Disney World with 3 or 4 days on the Magic. For a family of 4, this would have run about $5,200 in 1998. In 2024 prices, that's a steal, but at the time, trips on a Carnival cruise would have been about 30% less. Disney was hoping that families would want to shell out for that magical Disney touch, and they got what they wished for. In the next decade, Disney fought hard for their market share in the highly competitive cruise industry, and they consistently found themselves in the black as successive generations of families bought into the one-of-a-kind experience of a Disney cruise. For years, Magic and Wonder offered tens of thousands of passengers the chance at a little Disney magic, but then it was time for Disney Cruises to go big. In 2007, Disney commissioned 2 new ships for the first time in their nearly 10-year history, the Dream and the Fantasy. This time, they each cost around $900 million. At 1,114 feet long, the Dream can hold a maximum of 4,000 passengers in 1,250 staterooms, with 1,458 crew. The Fantasy has the same specs as its sister ship, the Dream, and came into service a little over a year later, in March of 2012, 3 years after construction began. When the Dream and Fantasy went into operation, they took over the Magic and the Wonder spots at Disney's launching port. And with the Dream and the Fantasy, a whole new generation of Disney fans started cruising, and unlocked the secrets of the Disney fleet. When you step on a Disney cruise, nearly every element of your experience is planned out for you. Experienced cruise passengers and crew have both shared some of the secrets when it comes to getting the most out of your Disney cruise, and some are downright surprising. While the Magic and Wonder may have nostalgic value and have had multiple upgrades since they first set sail, Disney had specially designed newer ships to not just be bigger, but better in every way than their predecessors. This means, for example, enlarging areas that previously got overcrowded to make sure every guest on the newer ships like the Wish had a great time. Disney cruise ships are also known for a special dining structure that differentiates them from other cruise lines. It's a rotational structure where guests dine at a different restaurant each night, but Disney does something special to keep this experience feeling warm and welcoming. Though passengers will rotate between restaurants, they may notice the same serving staff helping them no matter where they are. This is because cast members rotate with guests to make sure that they get a friendly, personal experience. They'll do their best to remember allergies and food preferences. Now, what's one thing that separates Disney cruises from the competition? Room service is offered 24/7 and it's all free. Even more incredible, if you're one of those people who needs a big jolt to get up in the morning, you can call room service and request an entire pot of coffee to be delivered to your stateroom. Now, Disney cruises have a pretty extensive tipping system, where you're given a set of envelopes with receipts detailing the prepaid gratuities that have already been added to your account, which gives you the option to tip even more. Because of this extra option, the hosts and servers you come into contact with will do a lot of things to ensure that extra tip. Disney cast members do have a lot of rules to abide by in order to present the most magical experience possible for guests, and as part of the code of conduct, there are certain things they are never allowed to say. Of course, there's the obvious ones, like the common swear words, but there's one incredibly common 3-word phrase they're not allowed to say. While dealing with a guest, Disney cast members are forbidden from using the phrase, "I don't know." Why? When you're at a Disney theme park or on a Disney cruise, you're in your own fairy tale story, and saying "I don't know" to a question ends the story there. Instead, cast members are either supposed to say something like, "I can find out for you," or "That's a good question." Now, some areas like crew cabins will always be off limits, but there are secret areas on each Disney cruise ship specifically meant to be found. On the Wish, for example, Hook's Barbery isn't just an old school barbershop. Head to the back of Hook's Barbery and look for the second door and you'll find an incredible speakeasy bar that harkens back to the Prohibition era. It offers a variety of incredible cocktails that can't be found elsewhere on the ship. Now, what really are the perks of booking the more expensive concierge level rooms? Well, there's early booking for some activities and amenities, meaning you're first in line, and there's better amenities in the rooms. But one of the most luxurious parts happens out on the sun deck. Not only do concierge level guests have access to a private sun deck and a lounge with incredible amenities, they also get free sunscreen and chilled face towels. Those would come in pretty handy on a scorching hot day. Now, if there's a new Disney movie coming out that you're dying to see, you can actually plan around the premiere date and see it on board. Additionally, there are special themed screenings showing Disney classics for the appropriate holidays. If you like a lot of entertainment, be it the Broadway caliber shows or stints in the movie theater, you can get a bucket of popcorn for less than $2. The incredible part? Keep the bucket and refills will be free for the duration of your cruise. Once you've reached the end of the cruise, if you still haven't gotten to see that one character you always seemed to miss, make sure to attend the final Till We Meet Again show. It takes place on the final night of sailing and features pretty much every character on board. Lineups are first come, first serve, and the onboard photographers won't be on duty, so make sure to bring your phone or camera. Now, in 2016, following a sweep at the Cruise Critic Cruisers' Choice Awards, Disney announced plans to expand even more, with 2 new ships. First came the Disney Wish, which would become much bigger than the Dream and Fantasy, but with the same number of staterooms, which meant more room for entertainment and amenities. The Disney Wish's construction was delayed in 2020 due to the pandemic, but it finally had its maiden voyage in July of 2022. Along with its 1,250 staterooms, it featured immersive experiences never before seen on a Disney cruise. This includes new additions to the catalog, like Marvel and Frozen themed facilities and even a Star Wars themed bar. The second ship in Disney's Wishes class was the Treasure. The Treasure was on its delivery voyage to Florida in November of 2024 when the ship's crew got a dire call for help. There was a catamaran nearby, and it was sinking rapidly. The Treasure sent crew off in its tender boats to investigate, and ended up rescuing a family of 4, making them the Treasure's first real passengers. With Disney Cruise Lines reporting 312,000 passengers and $653 million in revenue in 2021, it's no wonder that they have further plans to expand their fleet. The Destiny and the Adventure will join the Wishes fleet in 2025, and there are varying reports of up to 7 more ships having been ordered for launches between 2027 and 2031. While Destiny is planned to have a predominant Marvel theme, only a few details have been leaked about the Adventure. But one aspect was surprising. Taking full advantage of current trends towards artificial intelligence, the Adventure will be designed to accommodate the use of AI and robots in customer-facing roles, eliminating the need for some staff positions. It's a controversial choice, but it isn't the only one Disney has had to face. The Adventure will be part of a new global class of ships, departing from the previous Wish class. With Disney nearly doubling its fleet in the next decade, it's going to be a whole new generation of Disney cruises, but can they ever truly walk away from their dark past? Try as they might to control their reputation and the press they get, there are some stories that are simply too scandalous to remain hidden, and Disney Cruises in particular has had to weather some shocking controversies over the time. The negative environmental impacts of cruise ships probably came as no surprise to most. As a result, some cruise lines have been mandated to report their energy consumption in order to calculate emissions, and for Disney, it led to a strange error. Disney Cruises ended up making a strange scandal when it was announced that they made errors when reporting their energy consumption. But instead of underreporting them, they'd mistakenly overestimated them by a massive margin. While it's unclear how exactly it happened based on the information Disney provided, it has made it clear how confusing the regulations regarding reporting can be. The story, though not altogether negative, was another chink in Disney's PR armor, but in 2011 they had to deal with a brutal blow to their highly controlled image. Rebecca Corriam was a bright and accomplished 23-year-old English woman who became a cast member for Disney in 2010. She eventually joined The Wonder as a youth worker, and on March 21, 2011, The Wonder left Los Angeles. That morning, Rebecca called her parents to check in and told them she'd call them again the next day. But she never did. The next morning, when Rebecca didn't show up for her shift or call her mother back, those who knew her on both sides of the world knew something was terribly wrong. Staff on board The Wonder reported her missing to the crew, who began to search the ship, and the Mexican Coast Guard searched the waters around the ship, but there was no trace of Rebecca Corriam. Because the ship was registered in the Bahamas, it was the Bahamian police detective who flew in to investigate. He was just one man tasked with doing the forensic portion of the investigation and interrogating 3,000 passengers and crew. Rebecca's parents flew to Los Angeles to meet the ship when it returned there, 3 days after their daughter's disappearance. There, they met with the detective, and what he reported was stunning. He was leaving to go back to the Bahamas after spending only a little over a day investigating. Disney brought the Corriams onto The Wonder through a side entrance, away from prying eyes. Then, they met with the ship's captain, who explained what he thought had happened. He said that Rebecca might have been swimming in the crew pool when a rogue wave hit the deck, washing her overboard. While they were there, Disney also showed the parents CCTV footage of Rebecca, the last time she was ever seen, at approximately 5:45 a.m. in the morning of March 22, 2011. Rebecca was seen talking on the phone, and she appeared to be quite distressed. Distressed enough that a nearby cast member asked if she was okay, and she can be seen to say, "I'm fine." When a reporter took a cruise on the same ship a few months later, he did his best to get answers from the crew. Some said Rebecca had been upset on the phone due to relationship issues. One of the crew members the reporter interviewed claimed that Rebecca's sandal had been found on the pool deck after her disappearance. Another said that Disney had briefly laid out flowers there without any explanation as to why. In the end, one of Rebecca's friends and fellow cast members aboard The Wonder had the most to share about her. She said the sandal wasn't Rebecca's, and that she may have been upset about her girlfriend, who also was a cast member, but that no one involved in the investigation had approached either of them. She also had her own theory as to what happened. The friend said that Rebecca was a bit of a daredevil and may have been sitting on the high fence around the Disney Wonder's crew pool to enjoy a moment of feeling free. and tumbled from there. But why the cover-up? Well, that area would have been in full view of crew areas where people would have been keeping watch. And she said if whoever was on duty was doing what they were supposed to, they would have seen Rebecca. And if they didn't, they're covering for themselves. Rebecca Coriam's family spent years being told the investigation is ongoing anytime they asked about their daughter. Eventually, they filed a lawsuit against Disney, which settled with them out of court for an undisclosed amount in 2015. But still, there are so many questions that remained unanswered. Rebecca Coriam has been missing for nearly 14 years. Despite all the attention, no one has truly been able to establish whether she disappeared in a horrible accident, with some even suspecting that it could have been covered up, or whether something even more nefarious ended up happening. That wraps up this journey. Thanks for watching Splash Travels. Like and subscribe to uncover more of the world's best kept secrets, and don't forget to dive into even more fascinating facts on our main page, Factinate.